A quick reaction to Real Madrid versus Atletico post-match analysis.
I see a pitch side. Luis, I want to start with you. What a performance from your old side.
Fantastic performance. Actually, we enjoy very much. It's been a long time that we don't see a solid Atletico Madrid as we've seen today. We've seen good minutes. We've seen a team that attacks well or defends well, but I think today it was overall a fantastic performance. I think they understood very well what it was needed during the game. Simeone planned. I think it worked perfectly from the first minute until the last minute, and I think the guys deserve it. I think it wasn't easy for Real Madrid to try to arrange on the wide areas, in the middle, getting the tempo, but it was all about Atletico Madrid, what they can do, what they did.
So, despite Luis Garcia is an Atletico fan, here I have nothing to disagree with him. Everything he said here is on point. I would agree that Atletico was a better side today than Real Madrid. In fact, Atletico was a better prepared team to play this derby than Real Madrid. Now, there were a lot of things that went wrong today. However, the biggest architect for this big loss today was our manager Carlo Ancelotti. As soon as I saw the lineup today, the starting lineup I faced so far, this is a real testament how this Real Madrid can do, and we failed miserably. Last time Carlo made this drastic change in a big match was against Barca, and we were thrashed by 4-0. Again today, playing just Rodrigo in the front, it doesn't make sense whatsoever, because in our squad, he's the least informed player right now, and you expect him to be the main player, to be the only attacker in your squad. You're doomed to fail.
Atleti thoroughly deserve the win today.
What? Break a habit of a lifetime.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think when we saw that graphic that we put up with the stats, I think which heavily are weighted for Real Madrid, possession, efforts, I think that's misleading. I really do on this occasion. Yeah, the possession, but
A lot of long shots.
a lot of shots from, 25, 30 yards, crazy angles, pot shots. Real Madrid got what they deserved today. It was absolutely nothing. We talked before the game in the pre-game show about the crosses, about the wing-backs for Atletico Madrid, about the fact that, Garcia and Vasquez cannot defend the back post. And when you looked at the partnership, if you want to call it that, between Rudiger and Alaba, it was horrendous. Yeah.
Listen, this is why I like Craig, because he's always straight to the point. He doesn't speak BS. He always gives you the real fact that what he saw. And he was on point again. What he said about the stat, when you saw the stat, it looks really solid. Real Madrid was better almost everything possible. But in reality, that's not the case. How many shots we had today was really good shot. I can't recall many, honestly. And how many clear-cut shots you have created. And Craig was absolutely right about our fullbacks. Both fullbacks were our weak point today. And added with that, two of our most experienced defenders, Rudiger and Alaba, I don't know what happened to them. They were off. If you look at Real Madrid's first goal, look at Fede. He should have done better at pressing. He should not let him to cross. And second, the most miserable mistake, the horrendous mistake was done by Alaba. What are you doing, Alaba, with so much experience? Real Madrid's second goal, another cross, another goal. We can't defend, for God's sake. Third goal, another horrible defending. Alaba, one of the most experienced defender, is committing this suicidal mistake. Not only he was wrong for this goal, after the goal Real Madrid conceded, he was blaming other players, despite it was his mistake. He's the one who should be tracking Morata, and he went away from Morata. This is not acceptable.
Sid, we know hindsight is a wonderful thing, yet we have seen vulnerability from this Real Madrid side, despite this perfect start to the season. So is today as big a surprise as the scoreline suggests?
Well, far be it from me to do this, but you say hindsight's a wonderful thing, but this is, as Craig was pointing out, what Craig said pre-game, that those two fullbacks are vulnerable at the far post, that if you can get the crosses into those areas where they'll be out-jumped, that can be part of it. But I think you're right, Dan, as well, to pose this beyond this. We mentioned this pre-game, didn't we? After the Athletic game, the opening day of the season when we were up at San Mamés, Real Madrid have conceded the first goal in every match. Now, not officially in the game against Celta de Vigo, because actually they were a little bit fortunate, and in particular, Kepa was fortunate that the first goal that Celta scored was ruled out. But in all of the other games, it's happened. Now, I don't want to overplay this. I don't want to suggest this tells you that Real Madrid are really, really vulnerable. They've been really dreadful at the back. But there has been a nervousness and a weakness. And Ancelotti has talked about the way that diamond midfield creates a narrowness, which means that other teams can come along the two sides of it. And that so far, That hasn't really been found out, partly because Bellingham keeps scoring goals very late on. But structurally, yeah, we did have some doubts about it. It wasn't just tonight.
Well, we know that this team is not a balanced team. This is not a perfect squad to have to win league or Champions League. However, whatever you have to make the best decision. When you have made a bad decision by making a bad team selection, it's over. For example, today, because this is really important big match against Atletico, Vasquez should not have started. It should be Nacho who should have played this match from the beginning of the match. Second, another important point brought out by Sid is that this narrow formation gives you structure or gives you better midfield control. However, when you play against a bigger team like Atletico, they know that this Real Madrid team has weakness on the flank. So they'll attack from the flank. And they did today. And that's why we were exposed. This formation is not ideal against a big team who likes to press.
To explain, Stevie, a defence which has got Alaba in it, which has got Rudiger in it, and all that experience to make such basic errors in such a big game?
Well, I think, to be honest, Rudiger hasn't played it all season because clearly Ancelotti doesn't trust him.
So a minor correction on Stevie's point. I think here Stevie wanted to mean for last season.
And I would guess that Alaba flits from centre back to left back as well. You've got Garcia, who clearly defensively struggles. So is it a surprise, having said that we're pinpointing three of the back four that haven't been particularly great all season? So is it a surprise in a big game where they make mistakes and they get punished for it? Not really.
I think I have said numerous times, Fran Garcia is a good attacking player. But when he needs to defend really well against a bigger team, bigger opponent, he's not the right player. And today, every time he went to the front, we were exposed.
That going to be to address?
No, we saw Ferland Mendy coming on and he was pretty poor.
Yeah.
We talked about Fran Garcia and how he's looked nervous most of the season when he's played and he's definitely gettable at the back post. I mean, he just can't defend the back post. His positional play in the first half in particular was terrible, and they just scooped it in behind him for Morata or Molina.
So yes, Carlo brought out Mendy because Fran Garcia was poor. However, Mendy was equally poor.
Also, as bad as they were at the back, it was the ease in which Atletico Madrid got to the back line. And we've seen that with teams that we talk about in the Premier League, that all of a sudden good defensive teams have struggled. And it's not just the back line. And I think the question has to be asked, and we talked about it before the game, has the day gone that Toni Kroos and Luka Modric can play in the same middle of the park at their age? And I think when you look at Ancelotti's team selections previous to this game, the answer is no. The answer is no, because they both have not, in the big games, they both have not started. In fact, at times both of them have, they've not started together. Both of them have not started at times. They've came on, had cameos, you mentioned that. And I think that's another big question in there that you're asking a lot of. Today it was Valverde and Camavinga until Tchouaméni. You're asking a lot of those guys to cover the grass that Kroos and Modric, yeah, they can dominate, they can pass the ball. They can score a great goal that Toni Kroos scored. But you're not going to do that every week. And I think the likelihood of seeing those two together starting in really big games like this going forward are probably slim to none now.
Absolutely, that's a great point by Greg. Kroos and Modric haven't played or started together this season so far. So why do you start from today? Football is simple, just keep the winning formation.
Luis Bellingham's rubbish.
Actually, we didn't see the best of it. I received a few text messages saying that they want to see what the people is talking about you, Bellingham. We have to say that if we focus on today's game, of course, he wasn't at his best. We haven't seen the best of Real Madrid today.
He's got some issues to solve, hasn't he? Ancelotti.
Well,
this Bellingham 6 goals and 6 is certainly, and it's no surprise, but it's certainly masked over some of the issues. Today, really poor at the back. Today, really poor in the middle of the park. Now, he can address the middle of the park for sure because he's got bodies to come in there. But what's he going to do with the front line? What's he going to do? Rodrigo hasn't really been working, but Rodrigo's not really carrying the can at the moment.
So here are a couple of important points we have to discuss. First of all, Carlo has to stop his bias towards certain players. For example, why Rodrigo played full match today? When a player is not in form, you don't keep him playing. And today, another game where he went missing. Again, I don't like to discuss about him every match, I think that's kind of redundant. However, when you saw Brahim came in, I felt Brahim did much more than Rodrigo. And Brahim played only 20 minutes compared to Rodrigo full match. Anyway, today I'm really angry and frustrated, so I'm going to skip the match analysis like individual player performance analysis. I think that's not necessary for today because everyone was off today. However, let me know what do you think about today's match.